Hi again. As I said earlier, my name is Teemu Saarelainen, and I'm the head of games at Cursor and Playa. I'm going to talk a bit about boosting the games industry in Southern Finland. So let's see if this works now. Okay, now it works. Great, thanks. All right, let's continue. While I was preparing my talk during the past couple of weeks, I was thinking and trying to remember the presentations at GDC. I'm getting old, so closer to 40 now, and can't remember everything. So I resorted to the GDC vault and looked up a few of the interesting presentations there, and I picked up some things from the talks. So one of the things that came up was this image. There was a talk by Daniel Bernstein on game studios, and he had this iceberg metaphor in his presentation. It said the development is the visible part in the everyday life of the studios, but what's underneath is everything else. So financing, cash flow, budgeting, legal stuff, marketing, all sorts of stuff. And more recently, user acquisition, monetization, live ops, metrics, you name it. There's also some stuff added from the presentation of Jason De La Rocca, who runs the execution labs in Canada. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff missing from this slide as well, but the most important ones, I'm sure, are there. So this is just to give you some sort of a hint of what's going on with the game studio today. And this is what we were thinking back in the years when we were deciding and making research on what to do with the very early game studios that are just been founded and are starting up their operations. So they often need help, especially in these areas underneath. Next, a bit of background. So to kind of put things into perspective, we're going to do a short jump back in time. So back in the days, 2010, we were starting out our operations and doing some research. So during 2010, we did a bunch of surveys and relied on research made by NeoGames, which is the kind of the leading support organization for the games industry in Finland. So there were lots of material for us to base our operations on. Plus, a very important research was made by one of the leading game professionals in our region as well. So based on these studies, there was a very active need to develop the industry, to support it. The key areas for these initiatives were as follows. So the main 5 areas that needed help: business and process development and other expert services for game studios, such as design, legal, all sorts of things. They needed a lot of funding to get their operations started. So for projects and demos, those were key, at least during back 2010, to get deals from publishers. So that was important. We needed publishing and distribution development because there were no Finnish publishers during 2010, 2011 maybe. You can count Rovio as a publisher. Then PR and marketing. There are lots of international events in the industry, so those need to be attended by the studios if they want to get deals. And lastly, but not the least, education development and research. So a skilled workforce in Finland is a must for the industry to succeed. And this was seen as one of the key areas. So although there are 5 different areas mentioned here, the last one needs a little bit of a boost, more than the others combined. The results from this work back in the days. So during 2011, we got funding for over 5 million euros from the EU to boost the games industry and startups and research and education in the Southern Finland. So the Päijät-Häme Regional Council gave us about 3.5 million euros for 2 different projects, and some other instruments, another 2 million or so. So that was a really big boost in 2011. The actual work got started during the spring 2011 and has continued until this day. So one of the initiatives that came about was the Game Cluster project, which is a project in Southern Finland during 2012-2014. There are 6 partners, so Turku, which is, let me see if I can, Turku, right here, so we're in Helsinki, over there. Then Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences, here in Helsinki. Then QAMK, University of Applied Sciences, which has campuses in Kotka and Kouvola. And then in Lappeenranta, over there, we had Saimaa, University of Applied Sciences, and Lappeenranta University of Technology. So 6 partners and covering the whole of Southern Finland, basically. And we decided to put our money into these areas. So these kind of reflect the background research quite a bit. So on publishing and distribution development, we had a work package. Then on internationalization, business and process development, we had another work package. Then on we had a research forum and game business research, mainly operated by Lappeenranta University of Technology. Then we had game education development by the Universities of Applied Sciences, so Turku, Helsinki, Kotka and Kouvola, and Lappeenranta were all part of this. We had some investment money for developing some environments for doing learning, testing, and development. So we had some sites in Kouvola, Kotka, and Lappeenranta that were built for these activities. And then, as quite a big work package, we had also the PR, marketing, and attending the events. Some results. So to just quickly to move on. The development environments were Medusa Game Studio in Kouvola. Then we had 2 level up sites, so we branded them was 2012. We had 1 site in Kotka and 1 in Lappeenranta. These were mainly for new studios and new teams. We had specialized hardware and software for game development in these sites, and also in the Medusa Game Studio at Kyamk in Kouvola. So among others, we had a motion capture environment in the Kouvola studio. And the usual software packages for doing stuff with Unity and 3ds Max and whatnot. We also had a multitude of mobile devices mainly for doing game testing. So I don't know, there were like 40, 50 devices that traveled around from company to company and was used mainly for doing testing. These offered, of course, a nice co-working space for the startups, but also a nice environment for the students to have real-world projects. And this was a major part of the whole game cluster project as a whole, because the students were very eager to take part in these real-world game demo development projects. Another result was the Playa Launchpad that offered support in several key areas. So we had legal and IPR issues that needed to be taken care of. So we had a bunch of experts from legal offices that offered training, but also very specific support to different game studios, and mainly in the capital area here in Finland. We had a quality assurance work package in there. We were lucky to have a QA company based in Kotka and operating here in Helsinki as well that we could use. We did a lot of game testing process development with these companies and piloted these processes with several actual games that got tested by the QA company. And the students were also involved in this as well. Then we had a work package in game design, a big work package in publishing where we studied free-to-play publishing models and all things related to that, user acquisition, soft launches, and we actually produced kind of a quick manual on how to do that. Then on training, we had a game executive program together with Aalto University. So that's going to be one of the topics later today on the panel. And actually the QA is going to be another topic of a panel. So those are going to be covered in a bit more detail after lunch. All in all, we had more than 20 companies involved in our operations. So game studios and other game companies. Those work packages that we have in the Launchpad enabled funding, improved the workflow, and increased the competences of several people. We had a lot of tuning done in the publishing processes, and naturally the QA stuff helped to make better games, but also helped the processes in which the games are being tested. So this whole Launchpad thing was very successful in providing the means to help the game studios and their needs. On marketing, one of the biggest work was done with the events. So we had international B2B events. We attended a lot of them and arranged, as Mikko said earlier, these investor events. We were part of that as well. So here's a kind of short list of what we did. So we attended Game Connection and GDC America the last couple of years. Game Connection Europe 2012, 2013, Gamescom and GDC Europe 2012, 2013. And I guess we also went to E3 in 2012. Nordic Game, naturally, that's one of the main events in the Nordic countries, and also a lot of people from across the globe come there. Actually, the image over there is from the booth that we had, and for the first time we had this Play Finland branded booth in Nordic Game. So this was in cooperation with the whole Finnish games industry. And we were able to showcase some of the companies that operated with us. Yes, and I'm sure Mikko mentioned before that we had these investor events in London, Singapore, New York, and in Helsinki. So we were at Slush, for instance. More than 15 different studios attended these B2B events. We had, on a rough scale, we had more than 500 individual meetings in these events. We had lots of new contacts and new networks, and the studios got several publishing deals, projects, and a lot of funding. So this was a very important part of the marketing efforts. And a bit more about marketing and PR. Naturally, we had active presence in social media, we had a website, we had all sorts of marketing material, print media coverage. We were part of Edge, I guess more than a year back. We did some video footage and marketing trailers for the companies and the Game Cluster project. And we're very actively involved in the community, so we were present at the IGDA Finland gatherings, and we were there to help people establish the local hubs. For instance, in Turku, Kotka, at least in those locations. A new IGDA Finland local hub was formed within a year. So all in all of these marketing efforts improved the visibility for all the stakeholders that were involved. And as an indirect result, actually, there's a movie about the games industry coming out within a year or so. So there's a company making a movie about the Finnish games industry, and actually it's kind of based on people founding a new game studio in a remote town and trying to survive, basically. And it's a kind of learning process, and it's really fun to see how these three guys establish a studio basically from nothing. They have an idea and then just try to learn how to swim in the sea of the games industry. Here's a list of some of the companies that have been founded during the project or during the last couple of years. Some of them don't no longer exist, but most of them are active. And this is just kind of a short list of those companies. So a lot more, I'm sure, are there as well. And some of them have been more involved in our operations, and some of them a bit less. And in addition to this, of course, there are a big list of companies that have been involved in these events and operations as well. But more on that this afternoon. So, if we take a look back at the iceberg, what started my presentation. The iceberg is a kind of brilliant metaphor. We can see that the weak points, the traditional weak points, that that have been kind of influenced by our activities are the first four. So financing, budgeting, cash flow, that's been covered. Legal, that's been covered. Marketing and internationalization has been covered. But the four in the bottom, so user acquisition, monetization, servers and hosting, so live ops, metrics analytics, that could not have been seen back in 2010 and 2011 when we started our operations. So there's a change in market, naturally, and free-to-play has become the kind of dominating standard in mobile games and in other platforms as well. So to sum it up, we still need support in those areas of expertise. The Game Cluster project is about to end, so in the end of June, our project officially ends. But we need new initiatives, because as we all know, the industry is constantly evolving and changing. So I'm sure Playa and Cursor will do some more projects in the future. We will try our best to get funding for doing more development on especially these new topics that have arisen from the industry. But it's been an exciting 2 years doing this stuff, and I want to thank all of our partners that are here today, and hopefully you'll have a pleasant 2 days at the Pocket Gamer Connects. There's a lot of interesting stuff being presented in the halls, and I'm sure there are a lot of parties in the evening, so enjoy the conference. Thank you.